Hi guys, and welcome back to class. Today, we are going to start off by talking about brainstorming romantic gestures. So I want you guys to look at these questions. How would you get someone to go on a date with you? Or what are ways to get someone's attention using social media? Or how do you show someone you care about them more than others? Go ahead and list down some ideas in the discussion board. Please make sure that your responses are appropriate. Now let's look at the word woo and bewitch. The word woo is a verb. It means to seek to win the love or approval of someone. And bewitch means to enchant or cast a spell over with magic or as if with magic, or to charm or fascinate someone. So I want you to ask yourself, now that you know what the word woo and bewitch means, and please write these definitions on in your journal. Is wooing someone the same romantic gesture as bewitching them? Why or why not? Look at the focusing question task for this lesson, or focusing question and content framing question. How do the characters in A Midsummer Night's Dream understand love? Today, we're going to be focusing on organizing what's happening in Act 1, Scene 1. You are going to encounter several new characters, and they all have very different ideas about the same types of romantic gestures. So, first, let's share out what we learned about Shakespeare from our last night's research. Now, based on your last night's research, how can what you learn help you better understand what is happening in A Midsummer Night's Dream? Now read to understand characters. Who, what, and where. Read Act 1, Scene 1, lines 21 through 129 aloud. Then I want you to annotate for information about the relationship of the new characters. So for example, when you're inside of your book and you see information about their relationship, whether it tells you if they care about someone, or if they've done a gesture, or if they've done something nice for someone that they love, that's where you would annotate for that information inside of your book. Then ask yourself, what are the relationships between Aegeus, Hermia, Lysander, and Demetrius? Why did these characters come to see Theseus? As you track these relationships, you should not only pay attention to how people are related to each other, like are they family, are they married, but you should also understand how they feel about one another. So let's answer this question. How do Lysander, Demetrius, Hermia, and Aegeus feel towards one another? For instance, does Lysander care for Hermia? How do they feel about one another? Now I want you to reread those same lines, and I want you to annotate about Herminia's character as expressed by all of the other characters. How do they feel about her? Do they think that she's a good woman, a just woman? Make sure that you use your text features to support your understandings. Meaning, if you're going to tell me something specifically about Herminia, tell me the act and the scene and the line using your citations. How do you know about Herminia? What do you know about the Herminia from this portion of the text? What have we learned about her? Now we're going to summarize some of our key ideas. I want you to look at the word filch, which means to steal in a sly manner. Now, Aegeus states that he is full of vexation. This is on Act 1, Scene 1, line 23, about his problem. Using your definitions of the word bewitch and filch to determine what vexation means. How does Aegeus feel about Lysander's relationship to Herminia? Why is the word vexation more appropriate to describe Aegeus's emotions rather than words like rage or displeasure? Why does Theseus say that Herminia should treat her father as a god? 1.1.48. Act 1, Scene 1, line 48. Why does he say that she should treat her father as a god? And what will happen to Herminia if she disobeys her father and doesn't agree to marry Demetrius? Now let's ask ourselves, what's happening in Act 1, Scene 1? Then I want you to choose one of these words that best exemplifies the conflict in the scene, and using that word, write 2 to 3 sentences to respond to this question. What is the problem in Act 1, Scene 1? For homework, reread Act 1, Scene 1, lines 21 through 29. And in your own words, explain why Lysander thinks that he should be able to marry Herminia. Now let's look at our vocabulary deep dive. Ask yourself, what do you know about a yield sign? And when I say yield sign, I mean the ones that are on the road. That's right. Yield signs indicate that drivers should give way to other cars that have the right of way, meaning you should slow down and let others go ahead of you. So, what connotations or feelings are associated with this word in the context of yield sign? What does the word yield make you feel? What is the connotation? Then I want you to ask yourself, based off of the text, who or what is yielding? Who or what must they yield to? And what are the consequences if they don't yield? And what does yield mean in these lines? Act 1, Scene 1, lines 71 through 72. The words if and not give a lot of information about yield here. It sounds like a threat. Theseus is talking about consequences if certain decisions are made. Theseus refers to Herminia's father's choice. Aegeus chooses Demetrius as Hermia's future husband, and Herminia rejects his choice. I want you to write Herminia under the second column and her father's choice under the third column. Write has to be none under the fourth column and write give in under the final column. So just like in these columns, you're going to add these titles. How does the connotation of hand over alter Helena's lines? Students write one-sentence summaries in Act 1, Scene 1 of lines 69 through 75 and 81 through 84. And use a synonym of the word yield, or a word that's similar, to answer this question. Do you think Herminia will yield to her father's wishes? Now, after examining the features of the text and reading the first lines, what functions of the comma do you predict will be the most common in this play? So, that is going to be it for today's lesson. Please make sure that if you need any help or have any questions, come to office hours between 11:22 and 12:06, Monday through Friday.